Wait. Is this Lex? It's Astrostetics. Let's get it, B. Diddy, the freak off hip hop ultimate supervillain. Yo, is Diddy the hip hop's ultimate supervillain at this point? And he got a freak off Avengers squad going on? A freak off Avengers squad that comprises some of your favorite rappers, maybe some people that hang loosely around the industry, allegedly a few R&B singers. Yo, Diddy has an Avengers freak-off squad, and he is the hip-hop supervillain. Let's get into this. Lil Rod, as y'all know, accused Diddy and a few of the freak-off Avengers of going around, allegedly state to state, and doing a bunch of erroneous acts. Now, in this latest lawsuit, a few high-powered people was named. Lil Rod named defendant Sean Combs, his son Justin Combs, Lucian Grange, the former CEO of Motown Records, Ethiopia Habtemariam, an exec, and some other record labels got mixed up in here in some of Diddy's companies. Now, as y'all know, Lil Rodney, he's a producer. He's from Chicago, all right, musically talented. And he produced 9, as he says in this article, allegedly he produced 9 tracks on the Love album, Diddy's last album, that was Grammy nominated. He says from September 2022 to November 2023, so that's about 18 months, Jones produced 9 songs on the Love album. So he said he was spending holidays with him. It gets a little crazy when he says Mr. Jones secured hundreds. He said he got gigabytes of freak-off archives. He said he probably allegedly got 5 gigabytes of archive freak-off footage. And then he says Mr. Jones has secured irrefutable evidence of the acquisition, use, and distribution. Whoa, wait. Yeah, let's read this again. The acquisition, okay, that's getting it. Then the use, okay, that's using it. But then the distribution, that's funny. Because in one of the other lawsuits against Bad Boy Records, one of the former Bad Boy presidents was smoking quack. In that same lawsuit, they said that some people they're involved in some illegal stuff. So why is that coming up again in other cases and then that's coming up in this? But these drugs, the distribution, use, and acquisition of ecstasy, what? Y'all still doing that in the industry? Cocaine? Y'all hitting coke? GHB? What is that? Yo, look, average niggas don't even have access to some of this ketamine. Alright, marijuana, yeah, but mushrooms, y'all getting trippy at the freak off? Y'all doing psychedelics at the freak off? Yo, it's like, yeah, this is honestly enough for me right now. But let me keep reading. It says Mr. Combs allegedly provided laced alcoholic beverages to. If you're not, all right, you might not be 21 and then you're not 18. All right, that's crazy. Why are you drinking again? So y'all, look, anytime we see anything about anybody that's not old enough to drink or even old enough to go to the smoke shop, we just gonna say you're crazy. Why are you giving alcoholic beverages to people that's at that age? Now, this is where Christina Karam, or also known as KK, this is Diddy's chief of staff, and Mr. Jones says that Diddy would send her to get some drugs. And then it also lists Christian Combs, and then Diddy talking about leveraging his relationship with TD Jakes. Then Corisha, ayo, Diddy, you know what we called y'all before? We called Diddy P Pissy and Copisha. Cause y'all know, look, Corisha like getting peed on. Allegedly, right? Allegedly. So that's why we said P Pissy and Copisha. Also known as Young Miami, her cousin though. So yeah, in this case, Young Miami Copeisha's cousin, Young Miami's cousin, was accused of trying to put that freak Pound Town on Lil Rod while he was in the bathroom. Ah man, it gets crazier and crazier. Then it says Cuba Gooding harassing Mr. Jones. Now Cuba, you got a few wild accusations going on. Then it also says on the yacht that a rapper was consorting with girls that can't even go to the smoke shop. This is a rapper Avengers freak off unit. Yeah, this is the FOU. This is the freak off unit. And now it says R&B singer redacted. Oh my God. They got a R&B singer in the freak off unit. Y'all, what's going on? It says R&B singer redacted in Mr. Combs' Los Angeles home consorting with girls that's not enough to go to the smoke shop. Y'all, we didn't even get into some of this yet. And this is already crazy. And this is only one lawsuit. What about the other lawsuit? What about the other lawsuit? What about some of the stories? What about the Cassie lawsuit? This lawsuit says on or about September 12, 2022, Mr. Combs held the writers and producers camp, and Mr. Combs was there and his son and a friend named Mr. G. And he's saying that Mr. G is 30 years old. And then he said that they were present at the camp one evening. Mr. Combs, his son, and G was in a heated conversation. Then they moved out the studio, and then, whoa, it says that there was gunshots there. And this is crazy because it says that G was lying on the restroom floor in fetal position, holding his stomach, and he was gushing out of his leg hip area. And this is crazy. Then there's a link to an article from CBS News that says Mr. Jones has several corroborating witnesses who spoke with this writer anonymously due to a fear of retaliation. Then they have pictures of some Chipotle mayo on the floor, and we know it's not Chipotle mayo, right? And this is a graphic image, so we not showing that. And then it says that clearly G was not harmed outside of the studio, as Mr. Combs instructed his team to report to law enforcement. This is the first indication that he's allegedly saying that Diddy has close ties with law enforcement. Just off this aspect, and now we're seeing things about CRS, private security. Yeah, like he's saying that why wouldn't this guy fear retaliation? Then it also says the fact that Mr. Combs and Jay Combs were allowed to enter with weapons that were not confiscated, he's saying that was a security breach within itself. So even I'm gonna keep it a bean. The person that's trying to help this plaintiff, that's trying to help Lil Rod, Tyrone Blackburn, I've heard a few people say that he may not be the best lawyers, but from what I'm reading, he's setting this case up. Like, even if y'all want to say that nothing happened, just the fact that a weapon was brought on the compounds is still a security breach within itself. So that's an interesting point. It says that Mr. Jones was sexually harassed and SA'd by Mr. Combs. Whoa! He's saying Mr. Jones was okay, this is crazy. It says throughout his time living with Mr. Combs, Mr. Jones was the victim of constant, unsolicited, and unauthorized groping and touching of his... Oh my God! Not Mr. Combs touching your pootie. Oh my God! Yo, Diddy, you slapping Jay-Z's buttocks? Yo, nah, this is wild. Then it says these events took place in LA, NY, and Florida, and the United States Virgin Islands. So multiple states. Now, y'all, this is where when people talk about maritime law, like if you even look at some of these high profile cases, they happened on like islands. And like if something happens on a yacht or like in the middle of the ocean, maritime law is something that there's a lot of legal loopholes. All right. So like, niggas is not, I'm not a lawyer, but I do know that maritime law is very different. So when you see these people doing things on like boats and on yachts and stuff like that, maritime law is completely different than like laws that govern actual nations. You feel me? So when I see them talking about a yacht and all of that, keep in mind that it's different making this stuff admissible in court. So when they're going from LA, New York, and Florida, then to the United States Virgin Islands, that sounds like interstate. And then it says, in the addition to the unsolicited and unauthorized touching, Mr. Jones was forced by Mr. Combs to work in Mr. Combs' bathroom as Mr. Combs, this dude said, get on the beat, engineer the beat, and engineer the session while I'm taking a shower. This dude wanted to have a freak off soundtrack. He had Lil Rod making a freak off soundtrack while he was there. So he's doing regular stuff in his everyday life, and he has an actual producer making freak off soundtrack music. In the Tiffany Red case, when she's saying that he was freaking off to Cassie's music, allegedly he like when it's like the producers is making the music as he's living, like, so it's actually a freak off soundtrack. That's crazy. Like, this guy's psychology is nuts. Now it says, as a heterosexual Christian man, Mr. Jones was uncomfortable with the advances. And then it also says that he expressed that to KK. And then you know what she says? She says, Sean will be Sean. That's hilarious. Then it also says that she, like KK, his chief of staff, attempted to downplay Mr. Combs, Diddy, groping Lil Rod's. And he's like, look, he's just playing with you. It's friendly horseplay. Don't mind if a grown man is playing with your being. Is she complicit in this, y'all? Allegedly. Y'all make sure y'all like, share, comment, subscribe. Let me know in the comments. And then it also says Mr. Combs attempted to groom Mr. Jones into engaging in gay. Oh my. Y'all. This says Mr. Combs was aware that Mr. Jones looked up and idolized producer Stevie J. Stevie J. Hey, Stevie J used to follow me on Instagram. I guess he unfollowed me after one of those Diddy videos. Then it says Stevie J is an American DJ, record producer, and television personality. Mr. Combs used access to Stevie J and his knowledge of Lil Rod's admiration, and then he showed him a video of Stevie J penetrating a Caucasian male without a oh my. And then they have a picture, and we know, y'all, there was an adult actor that came out and said that it wasn't him, that it was him. So but in this picture, like, this is graphic. This looks disgusting. And then in the footnotes, it also says Mr. Combs informed Mr. Jones that he had engaged in intercourse with rapper Redacted, R&B singer Redacted. And it says he is a Philadelphia. Yo, hold up. Is that why Meek Mill was going at academics? No. Hey, yo, Meek. Is this why you was going at academics? It says a Philadelphia rapper who dated Nicki Minaj. If y'all know any other Philadelphia rapper that dated Nicki Minaj, please put it in the comments. Then it says Thanksgiving 2022. On Thanksgiving, Diddy was trying to freak off on that's thanks taken. He touching son anus and genitals. He trying to thanks take him. It says on Thanksgiving Day 2022, Mr. Jones was in Mr. Combs' house in Miami and her female cousins was present. It said that Diddy offered him cocaine and he said no. Then he went into the restroom, and y'all see this thing with Bad Boy in the restrooms, like with the former executive doing quack in the bathroom. And now when Mr. Jones went into the bathroom, Young Miami's cousin allegedly barged through the bathroom door and began performing on Mr. Jones. And then y'all, this is wild. It says that after that, she proceeded to follow him out there, and then she started undressing and attempting to straddle him in the presence of Mr. Combs and his staff. Then it says once again, Mr. Jones pushed her off, and the images are from a video of Young Miami, her cousin, Mr. Jones, and then it shows an actual picture of them all together, like in the studio. And my thing with this dude, and we put this in the first one, right? If you seen this guy do one thing one time and you heard all the rumors, it's like all the things that he listed the first time, that's way more than enough for you to distance yourself from this type of behavior. But let's keep reading. Then it says moving, and it doesn't say moving, but you know, like when you're driving a car and you're stuck in, then it says Moving and Victims Protection Act. Then it says throughout his time with Mr. Combs, he was transporting from California to New York. See, this is when they go into the vibe of moving people around state lines. And then here they have the sex workers that he drugged. And then he says that another occasion in Miami, Mr. Combs asked Mr. Jones and DeForest Taylor, who's DeForest Taylor, to enter the studio bathroom. And then he asked him for a $100 bill. And that's crazy. Don't tell me allegedly that Diddy is out here doing yayo. Then it says later that evening, he required Mr. Jones to solicit sex workers from Booby Trap on the river. So wait, is this an actual club cosplaying as or is this not a club cosplaying as a club? But y'all, before this, they have pictures of a party from that night, and it's that picture with all the red lights, and all of them look like they out there in the red studio, and that looks a little weird. You know, that color red get people going. You know, I think they say red is one of those colors that, you know, it's like stop signs are red. A lot of things that make you pay attention are red. And so when I'm looking at a lot of these Diddy things, I always see like red lights, you know, and it just gives off like a very kind of sexual vibe. Here it says, Mr. Jones had no desire to visit Booby Trap on the river. Mr. Jones had no desire to solicit sex workers. Mr. Combs used his power and influence to intimidate and force Mr. Jones into soliciting sex workers from Booby Trap on the river. As detailed below, Mr. Combs used many tactics to maintain dominion and control of Mr. Jones. Yo, this is crazy. Yo, Lil Rod, they got you sounding like you was under Diddy bad boy freak off mind control. Like, you know, it sounded like Lil Rod had swirls in his eyes. Then it says the following are Instagram profiles. Okay, so they have pictures of two of those sex workers here. And it's like, y'all, who are these ladies? Two ladies came out and said that it wasn't them. But then it's like, how did the sex workers even get here? It says that Mr. Jones had no desire to solicit. But then it says Mr. Combs used his power and influence to intimidate and force Mr. Jones into soliciting and sleeping with these women. So he was playing a part in that. It seems like Mr. Jones was soliciting a little bit. I'm just like, yo, why didn't you leave? Like, he had all enough time to leave from the first time that any of this stuff was happening. So then it says the following is a phone number to another sex S worker that Diddy required Mr. Jones to solicit. It's what's up with that booby trap club right there. Then it says Mr. Combs will often switch up his approach. He will go from promising Mr. Jones the world to threatening Mr. Jones with physical harm. Mr. Combs threatened to eat Mr. Jones' oh my God. Diddy was like, if you don't come to the freak off, I'm gonna eat your face. Allegedly. Like, just telling another human being that you're gonna eat their face, that's crazy. Now there's another part where it goes into Diddy, and this time this is his son Justin Combs, them soliciting drugs and illicit. Oh my gosh, this stuff keep getting crazy with Diddy, y'all. On July 2nd, 2023, he had a listening party, and there was an R&B artist there whose name is redacted. And then it says that at around 7 p.m., Diddy requested female workers and required Mr. Jones to solicit them again. Then an hour later, sex workers appeared. Mr. Combs requested female sex workers and required Mr. Jones to solicit them. So it's like he's implicating himself without implicating himself and saying that Diddy kept forcing him to do it. Then it says Mr. Combs forced all the women to drink Lace DeLeon liquor. And then it says upon information and belief, Mr. Combs laced the liquor with ecstasy. Now I think that's super alleged, because it's like, would you have said that if Gene Deal and Mark Curry didn't come out about the lacing the liquor allegations? Because if he would have known that while he was there and he still participated in it, and you didn't message none of those young ladies and tell them, hey, that DeLeon liquor is laced, I see why they was saying that the lawyer here, the Blackburn guy, why a lot of this is reaching. Because it's like you're just building off of what was in the Cassie case and off of social media narratives. And like, I'm really looking at this. You get what I'm saying, y'all? Like, Mr. Combs laced upon information and belief. So, he low-key doesn't really know that. He's just saying, based off the online social media narratives, the belief and the information we have, let me interject this here. But, that's just my opinion. But another article, it says, Mr. Combs attempts to pass off Mr. Jones to Cuba Gooding. And then this is where Cuba Gooding Jr. was on a yacht. And when we said, when you're on yachts, when you're in like the middle of the ocean, things can get a little weird there, because a lot of the times the admiralty laws are very different than what you might assume them to be. But now it says that on the Love album, right? Well, before the Love album, we see pictures of Cuba Gooding Jr. touching Mr. Jones. And there's a picture where he's touching his arms and his shoulders, and they're in this red room. And working on a Love album in the red room, and with Diddy always talking about making love to the album, it's just a constant weird vibe, Then it says here, literally, the Love album. Throughout his time with Mr. Combs, Mr. Jones was an implied work for hire agreement. He was under an implied work for hire agreement. And it says he wasn't compensated for the songs he produced, and he was listed as a producer on like, here I see 8-9 songs. And then it says Mr. Combs and defendants LR, MR, UMG all benefited from Mr. Jones's work product. They failed to compensate Mr. Jones for his work. And if he's pointing at LR and MR, I guess that's probably Motown Records and Love Records and Universal Music Group. they're getting royalties and you just stayed there making the music. And that's why, like, with a lot of these people in the music industry, like, y'all gotta stop doing that. It's like y'all literally be sitting there still making the beats, still writing the songs, and y'all heard all the same stories that everyone else heard. And it's like, I don't know, y'all, at this point it seems like the industry standards with a lot of these artists is just set the way it is. There's even major artists that we know of that'll be like, yo, I wrote this reference track and this exec didn't pay me. Like, even Pharrell, like even Pharrell had a situation like that. Even Future had a situation with a reference track, if I do say so myself. And then it says Mr. Combs' deceptive business practices became so bad that Mr. Jones was left with no choice other than to make a public plea on social media for Mr. Combs to pay him for his work. After publicly requesting that Mr. Combs do the right thing and pay him fairly, Mr. Jones received an onslaught of threatening messages from the freak-off Avenger Squad, Stevie J, and Love Records A&R DeForest Taylor. That's who DeForest Taylor is. So when he's suing Love Records, he's suing all of these parties. Then it says Mr. Combs uses power and influence to threaten and intimidate him. Then he goes into the stuff with J-Lo, and then he says that he shared that artist and Mr. Combs' girlfriend at the time, Jennifer Lopez, aka J-Lo, allegedly carried the weapon into the club for him and passed him after he got into an altercation. And then right around this time, there was a woman that came out a few days ago and said that she got brutally harmed in that incident. She said that Diddy allegedly was the one that let that So this is why we were saying in the beginning, there's about 40 different allegations here. Like literally 40 different allegations. And then it says Mr. Combs made it clear that his head of security, Mr. Muhammad, had the power to make people and problems disappear. So y'all, Diddy has a freak-off Avenger Squad. And it says that if anybody in there ever got pulled over, they would be like, yo, just call this guy and he'll get it taken care of. This is why, like, when people say, yo, we ain't trying to mess with Diddy like that, allegedly, if all of this stuff is true, yeah, Diddy get on. There's a bunch of other stuff here where they're saying that defendant Christina Karam is the Ghislaine Maxwell. So knowing that Diddy also has the same lawyer as Jeffrey Epstein, I'm gonna be honest, this situation looks horrible. And then it goes on more where he has more references to a RICO enterprise. We've been saying this as soon as this came out, that when with the second allegations with the former Bad Boy executives, they're piecing together a little racketeering, some big racketeering charges that might conglomeratize into a RICO. Now, I don't know if Lucian Grange and Ethiopia Habtemariam, I don't know if they're gonna get brought up in this, but just to get this situation off of them, they might, yo, Diddy, you gotta answer these lawsuits. You got us getting named in your freak off mess. And I think Diddy got a lot of cases to fight. It's like when with Jeffrey Epstein and with these high powered cases, a lot of the times it looks like at first it's a bunch of people just throwing rocks and nothing is happening. But it's like in the meanwhile, all of these things is just building together. And the same way Epstein eventually had to answer, Weinstein had to answer, to get a lawyer that specifically delineates with cases like this, it just looks very sus. There's a lot more here. There's another part that says Mr. Combs is allowed to wreak havoc. That's what it's behind. Like, who is the parties essentially allowing all of this to happen? And it's there where they're going into certain things with filing a RICO, and this situation really doesn't look good. And I'm not saying this particular situation. It's this situation with the Cassie situation, with the other Jane Does, the redacted names in here, the other people's careers that this is affecting. What about some of the artists that Diddy signed like a year or 2 years ago? How is this situation affecting them? So what he got going on is affecting the interest and affairs of his parties. Now his son is being named in this. Then his other son is being named in this. And then it's like, wait, what about all the other people that was even somewhat connected to this situation? Y'all see what I'm saying? It's just literally one thing after another. And it's just so much stuff that you literally forget about other stuff. It's a 99.9% chance that something more comes out like very soon, like within the next week or next week, and then even next year, right? Even next year, like exactly around a year from now, because with the Cassie situation, y'all thought that was gonna disappear. Been hearing a few rumblings of another one, and an established artist, or not even established, but just somebody less anonymous as Lil Rod. Y'all, this situation doesn't look good, man. The music industry, my question for y'all, is the music industry crumbling? Is the music industry crumbling? Let me know in the comments. Make sure y'all like, share, comment, subscribe, but no freak offs. It's Astrostetics. Let's get it, baby.